sak nan Panse'w. Merci parce que vous pas jamais raté rendez-vous hebdomadaire ça. Sak nan Panse'w podcast disponible sur toute podcast plateforme yo. Abonnez à la chaîne YouTube nous pour regarder toutes les vidéos. Les fini, partagez la avec vos amis. Merci.
Bienvenue, welcome à Satna Panse'w podcast avec J.R. Poet et Nixon Boa. Nous vous remercions d'avance de ce que vous prêtez pour qu'attendre de garder nous. We thank you. Again, today we have another dynamic guest with us. But before I go to our guest today, I would like to see how's Nikki doing on his end. Nikki, what's going on, my brother? How's it going?
Doing good, mon cher. C'est toujours un plaisir pour nous là, chaque temps les arriver. Donc nous là, nous repartis encore aujourd'hui, nous gagnons guest avec nous. Donc nous pourrons partir pour l'autre belle émission et pour même ça qu'a fait.
Not much, man. You know, mem by you, man. The same old, man. But you know, without further ado, in a sense, now, no sense, the dynamic guest that we have with us today, in a sense, over the past few episodes, or this is our 5th episode on the business series that we're doing, and the goal of this business series is really to get see or to move people to go according to the gift, to pursue their gift, to pursue the talents that God have given to them, in the sense of impacting change where they can impact the change, or not sitting down on their talents and such. And we have one guest today that embodied all those examples, that making change in her community with the things, with her gifts and talents. She's serving her community with different, in different aspects, I would say. She is a therapist, counselor, a life coach. She is the CEO of Unburden, or Thrive Unburden, and also Abundant Lux. And again, she is impacting the change in her community, and with different facets, in different way, and different domain. And it's a pleasure to have Winnie BNM with us today. So Winnie, welcome. On behalf of a fan and our listeners, it's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Oh yeah. But now I know I said a lot, or maybe not too much, about you, or what you like, kind of your CEO, or your therapist, your counselor. But that's just like I would say, a summary. But if you don't mind telling the audience or the listeners a little bit more about you, your personal background, or what you do, or things in that nature.
Yeah, you were very kind with the introduction. I appreciate it. So like you said, by training, I am a mental health therapist who is currently in private practice. So on a day-to-day basis, I provide therapy to people struggling with mental health challenges, and those include anxiety, depression, trauma-related issues, things of that nature. I'm also a loctician. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to hair and African American hair, but specifically how for Black women, hair tends to be something that we really like we're huge on hair and like how we present ourselves. And I just find it really fascinating how a lot of our mental health, at least for Black women, and I want to say for Black men too, the beauty standards and hair and makeup and things like that has a direct link to our mental health, and how we see ourselves in this world, in this country. And for us, I mean, we're all Haitians, Haitian Americans, and I think that even from that perspective as well, like I can think back to my own personal background and people that I know who've had a lot of experiences of being bullied and being made fun of because of the texture of their hair and how they present themselves to the world. So that is one of the things that I've been slowly growing into as I've gotten the opportunity to bring these two things together. So mental health and hair, bringing them together to serve the community that I live in right now. So that's me on a professional level. On the personal level, I mean, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, a sister, a daughter, like all these different things. And at the end of the day, how I describe myself is um, someone who's really down to earth. Like, aside from all these different titles and like all these different hats that I wear, and all the different roles and responsibilities, when it comes down to it, I just love being a down to earth person, and doing the things that really inspire me, and things that really energize me.
That's awesome. That's very
That's right.
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, and I like the fact that you add at the end, in the sense that those titles are not just who you are. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time we can get consumed by the things that we do and not really seeing the true person within us. I love it. And very interesting in the sense of, and you did mention about the different hats you wear, from being a wife, being a mom, being a therapist. It's a lot of hat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how do you yourself kind of handle those different aspect of, the wearing those hat and prioritizing correctly?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question, I have a really good support system, and I really draw on that support system to help me stay grounded. So taking off, all the different hats and all the different responsibilities, it's really important um, to me to be able to ground myself, and to be able to devote time to the things that really feed my soul, and
Mm.
to the things that really energize me. So being able to rest. I actually have one day of the week where I try not to do anything, and that's Sundays. So uh, that looks like, literally not doing anything besides spending time with my family, relaxing, reading, having fun with them, and just be. It's a time for me to just be, because um, I've definitely found that over the years, especially doing the kind of work that I do, um, if you don't have the proper support system, and if you don't um, take care of yourself, feed your soul, feed your own mind, and give yourself those things, like pour into yourself the way that you're pouring into other people, that can really lead to burnout. So that's something that I've recognized, and I do my due diligence to make sure that I practice what I preach. I'm the queen of practicing, self-care, taking time off, do the things that you like, do the things that feed your soul, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, that's key. That's key um, to me being able to do the work that I do, and continuing to stay energized and stay passionate about this. So I've probably kind of like deviated from the question that you asked me, but the bottom line is my support system is important, and being able to take time off to be with myself, to reflect, to read, to just, kind of sit outside in my backyard, just kind of watching the birds and the trees, and just enjoying nature, and connecting to that spiritual side of me, being able to pray, and just, just be, is really how I'm able to ground myself and take these hats off. I
Awesome.
hope I answered your
No,
question.
no, no. Very. I mean, like, you went into details, in which is, we need that, and the listeners will, who will be watching us, will be, benefit from everything that you just said right now. And I think for being able to do those different things, and understand how to kind of compartmentalize and prioritize in your life, personal life. I think it's important, it's necessary, because some people don't know how to do that. And I think, by just listening in, people can figure out, wow, she's doing all those things, but yet she still find a way to take care of self and also her family. Nikki, what you think of that on your end?
And I think that's very great. And again, it's honor for us to have somebody like you here to say all these. I think that's very great. But you mentioned one thing that I personally can relate. We're gonna go a little back home. You mentioned like when you see they bullying people and stuff like that. In our community where we from, there's a lot of people like that being bullied by young people and stuff. I wanted to ask you, is that world always something that you have your eyes on? Like you're not happy when you see stuff like that, like being a therapist? Is that something since you were little you were always interested?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And honestly, I have to say that being a therapist and being in the mental health field isn't something that I always wanted to do. You know how sometimes you talk to people who are in a certain career, and they'll tell you that, from the time that they were very young, they knew what they wanted to do, and they set out to do that thing, and they're doing that. That wasn't the case for me. As far as like career, I definitely saw myself going down a different path. However, God had different plans for me. And so now looking back on my childhood and growing up, and certain experiences that I lived, and certain experiences that I witnessed, I can definitely see how those things, like, it was God definitely planting those seeds and ordering my steps to lead me to what I'm doing right now. But to answer your question, no, it wasn't something that I thought I was going to be doing. Never in a million years would I have imagined that I would be doing this now. However, in terms of having this sense of, I don't know, if you want to call it justice, like this sense of justice, and wanting to see things done like in the right way, or doing things right by other people. That's definitely something that I can say that from a very young age. I could tell the difference between right and wrong. And when I saw people being made fun of, and even myself, I've been on the other side of bullying, being bullied because I have a stutter, and I stutter, and I got made fun of that basically throughout my life. So being on the other side of that, experiencing that, and knowing what that feels like, and also seeing kids my age at the time, whether at school or in the community, just watching these things happen, it definitely like triggered something inside of me. I would say, where um, you're exposed to some of these things like so long, and it's like, this is not okay. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
this is not okay. This is not right. So again, looking back, like, I can definitely be like, yeah, God was definitely like prepping me for something, leading me to where I'm at now, like being able to empathize with people, being able to really understand where people are coming from. And as a therapist, And I think that's something that makes someone a really good therapist, is being able to empathize with others, being able to understand, and being able to listen and be compassionate. I can definitely say that a lot of the experiences that I've had prepared me for this, and it really helped me get to the point where, even if I have not necessarily been in the same situation that somebody else has been in, or if I can't, intellectually understand where they're coming from as far as that experience goes, but on a human level, I can empathize, because I've experienced those emotions. I've felt those things, and I can understand what it's like to feel like, you don't have a voice. I can understand what it's like to feel helpless, and to feel hopeless, and to feel anxious, and to feel sad. I can understand those things, and I think that that's the thing about this field, about being a therapist and being in the mental health field, that really like strikes a chord for me, because I get it. I get it at a human level, and that's important.
Yeah,
Very interesting, Nikki. Very
very
interesting.
interesting.
Love it. Love it.
But I'm so happy that she does mention the fact that when you seeing people being bullied in front of you, you know it's not right, even though you've been seeing it for a long time. It's never okay for you, and that's the way I felt. I thought I was weird because even when we have big event going there in our community, they will make song according to where these people look or stuff like that. That's really bad. But I'm very happy that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I want to add to what you just said, Nikki, because I think that um, in our community, in the Haitian community, in the Black community, and our cultures, a lot of things have gotten normalized, right? So making fun of people is normalized in our culture. Like, making fun of people for whatever reason. You don't like the way they look, you don't like the way they sound when they talk, you don't like their accent, you don't like where they come from, you don't like what they're wearing, whatever the case may be. That person can become the subject of a joke, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
We have gotten so used to that, to where those things in our culture has become normalized. And I've realized there's so many issues in our communities that are impacting us on the individual level, but also at the community level, where it's impacting our mental health. And unfortunately, in our culture, mental health is not a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
we're gonna come to this one.
Okay.
like,
We don't have questions for you
yeah,
on that
like
one, but
mental health is not a thing. As
Yeah.
a child, I'm sure that you all can attest to this. Growing up in a very traditional Haitian household, if my parents did something that I didn't like, that I didn't agree with, if they hurt my feelings, whatever the case may be, who are you to say, hey, you hurt my feelings? Or who were you to express to your parents that, whatever they did made you upset?
Yeah, you've
As
been
long as you were
disrespectful.
fed, ou
you're right.
manger, ou gen rad pou bete, ventou plein, like, what's the problem,
Ou trop
right?
bien.
Like, what's the problem? Ou gen kai, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the problem? Bien ou bien,
That's
right?
it.
So over time, as we get exposed to the same kind of response, the same responses, continuing to basically be minimized, like, your voice is minimized and invalidated. A lot of us, and I know for me, I definitely learned to bottle my feelings and emotions and to not be able to effectively express how I felt. And that is something that I know that a lot of us in the Haitian community and the Black community struggles with, because we definitely weren't given the opportunity to express how these things felt. I had mentioned before that, I have a stutter, and I got made fun of because I stuttered. And I remember how upsetting that was. And I had a lot of built up anger. And I can remember times where in school or like at home, I would definitely shut down. Like I was really, really shy, like super, super shy. Um, I I was afraid to open my mouth to say anything because I would be worried that somebody was going to make fun of me. And the most challenging part of it was the fact that even within my family, I had family members making fun of me because I stuttered. So imagine, as a culture at large, like we're all dealing with these things where it's just normal. Like people are gonna make fun of you for whatever.
Right.
So those things, I really think that us, as this generation, like we need to break these cycles and really change things for our children, for the next generation, can have a different experience. So they don't have to continue to go through these things that have been passed down to us from, generations past, where um, all these things that were not okay, things that are not okay, are continuing to get normalized. Um, so yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent, but
No, that's
you
good.
saying that, Nikki, really made me think about that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Earlier you mentioned that you didn't really have an interest for that field particularly, but when would you find yourself interested for that field?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually wanted to be in the medical field. Well, mental health is part of the medical field, but I really wanted to be involved more on the other side, as far as like nursing goes, or like being a doctor. And I actually started out majoring in nursing, and I quickly realized, and thank God I did, that it was not for me. I remember going to one of my clinicals where this older guy asked me um if I could wash his scrotum for him, and I was like, um yeah, no, no.
You quit.
um yeah, so I was like,
Not happening.
I'm good. Like, I'm good. Not for me. So it really took a lot of like soul searching and taking different classes and trying to figure out what do I want to do. So then I remember taking a counseling class, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So from then, I started, taking more classes, and I eventually changed my major. Um, but I actually didn't decide to go the therapy route until after I had graduated college. I had a bachelor's, or I have a bachelor's in counseling psychology, and I had started working in the field. as a case manager and working with kids and whatnot. And the more that I interacted with the kids, and the more that I heard their stories, and some of their family situations and whatnot, I just kept getting more and more intrigued. And it was almost like, it was a pull on my heart. And so fast forward to a few years of working into the field, I decided to go back to school so I could get my master's in counseling. So I now have a master's in clinical mental health counseling, and I'm licensed to practice therapy in Alaska, Louisiana, and Florida. But it was definitely a process to get me to the point of deciding this is what I really wanted to do. And it's almost as though like the stars had to align perfectly for me to get to the point of deciding that, yeah, like this is really what I'm supposed to be doing, and where I need to be. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. And some sometimes I'm like, thank God, like he had other plans for me, and that I didn't go into nursing or into like medicine, because I would have hated it. I would have hated it. And my husband jokes about this all the time, because he's like, knowing you, like I cannot imagine you like being a nurse or a doctor, because like you would suck at it, like you would be horrible at it. And this is to say that sometimes it takes time to figure out what you want to do, and that's okay. And knowing who I am, like having this knowledge now, and knowing like really knowing my personality, really knowing my skill set, and really knowing the things that I want to do, I'm like, yeah, thank God for that, because I would have like I said, um been in nursing or been a doctor, worked in that field for like a few years, and I would have been like, I need to do something else. So I think it's important to whoever's listening right now, if you're at a point of trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, and trying to figure out who you are, it's okay if it takes time. It's okay if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're like, yep, I know what I want to do. It takes time. Get to know who you are, get to know your skills and your skill set, and you will figure it out.
Man,
Yeah.
that's well said, Nikki. That's
Yeah.
well said. I love it in the sense. I just want to make it like do a follow up with what you said. I think a lot of time I love it because I think the whole time, and Nikki, we're talking about identity, throughout
Yeah.
our episodes that we have, because I think it's necessary for for a person to find themselves before they make a choice in life.
Yeah.
I think if you don't like really kind of cultivate and really know who you are, and you make a decision in life, now you're gonna have to delay or step back. And once you find yourself, once you find what you like, because a lot of people life end up in destruction because they just move with the norm, they just move with the trend. I know
Yeah.
a lot of our parents want us to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be an engineer, and things of nature. But therapist is never something that I would really discuss in a society or a
They'll
culture in
be
a
like,
sense.
what's that?
Yeah, they will
You
give you side
know,
eyes, side eyes. What
full
exactly?
full transparency, I don't think my parents understand what I do or what being a mental health therapist entails. So
No one will. No, no, no. Them
None
old,
of
and
our
that's
parents.
okay.
yeah, them old Haitian don't understand. What you say you t'es pas bon? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I actually remember when I decided to switch my major in undergrad, and I guess my parents, but more so my dad was a little bit concerned, and he had spoken with um the pastor of our church to kind of, I guess, express the concerns and whatnot. And our pastor told him, well, you might want to try to change her mind because people in this country, meaning uh, people in the US who study psychology and who have a degree in psychology, they don't really make much money. They struggle to find a job, and she's probably going to have like all of these different challenges. So you might want to talk her out of it. And I was like, uh,
It's not
thanks,
happening.
I will take it under advisement. But yeah, our our parents and I think that our culture at large, again, like we said before, mental health is not a thing. And it's not to say like anything bad or anything like that. It's just that when, our parents were growing up, when we were growing up, no one talked to us about mental health. Like the examples of mental health that we had were munki fu, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're yeah,
If you're not acting
I
normal,
could go like on a whole
right?
different tangent with that one, but I
Yeah.
won't.
No, you're right. You
Yeah.
see what's on your mind on that. Yeah, definitely true. Yeah, definitely true.
Yeah. I think we want to touch the business part of all that before we go to the really fun part, which is the mental health and our culture that we don't really
Mhm.
pay attention to that. But I know, like you mentioned, JR, this series is on business. So we
Mm.
wanna know how or when do you realize while you're doing that that you need to make that as a business?
Mhm. Yeah. So the idea for um the business came to life towards the end of 2019, and it was born out of a couple of things. So first, at the time, we were living in Alaska because we were stationed there. My husband is in the military, so we were stationed there, and there are not a lot of resources in the state of Alaska as far as mental health goes and whatnot. And so that was one thing where I was kind of like, I wonder, what I could do. At the time, I was working at an agency, and so knowing that our time in Alaska was going to be coming to an end, I started thinking about, okay, well, when we move to our next location, like, what am I going to do for work? Like, what is that going to look like? So, as far as being a military spouse, I started thinking of what would give me the ability to continue to do what I love, continue to be a therapist, continue to serve, but that wouldn't require me to hop from one job to the next, because um, it can be really hard as a military spouse and as a military family going through these transitions, because about every 3 to 4 years, you have to move to a different duty location as an active duty family. So for me, that meant that once we moved, I had to now um, figure out what was in the community that we were moving to, figure out if I was gonna find a job, and going through that whole process on top of moving. So I was like, well, one, um, there's a lack of resources in Alaska where we were, and then I was like, two, if I were to start an online therapy business, like I could work from wherever we were located. So that was really what kind of started that line of thinking. But I always say, like, little did I know that God had different plans. Again, we had the idea towards the end of 2019. I want to say, like, it was like towards the end of October, November 2019. Like, I was on the phone with my brother. I was like, this would be really cool if we could do something like that. And I shared it with a cousin who is really close to me, and then my husband, and they were like, this is great, like, let's do this, right? Little did we know that February 2020, the world would go on lockdown with COVID, and everything essentially went virtual. Like, everybody was doing telehealth. My job at the time, the place that I was working at, I was doing telehealth sessions for my clients. So it was just kind of this thing where, looking back, I think on that and I reflect on that, because sometimes I think that we miss opportunities, and we miss I don't know, our calling, or what have you, because sometimes the ideas and, like, the visions that we get don't necessarily make sense. And so, because they don't make sense to us, we can be like, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, why would I do that, right? But now, fast forward to 2023, like 3 years into this whole pandemic situation, like, the entire way that we provide therapy and that we navigate these things have shifted so much. And I'm just really grateful that I listened, and I just kind of went with the vision and the idea that God planted in my heart. So even now, where we are right now in Louisiana, we're in an area where, again, there's not a lot of resources, and we didn't want to come here. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
it's one of the
when we
states.
found listen, when we found out that we got orders to come to Louisiana, we didn't want to come here. I didn't want to come here. There's not much to do. There's not a lot of resources. But the last year and a half, almost 2 years that we've been here, it's really been a constant reminder of, God will put you where you need to be, where He needs you to be. And reflecting on all of that has really cemented for me that yeah, I had an idea to do this thing, but it really wasn't my idea. It was an assignment and my mission that God was giving me. And so continuing to be in tune with that, continuing to be willing, excuse me, to listen and to follow where He leads is definitely at the heart of Thrive Unburdened and this mission that we have. And the mission and the vision has definitely expanded to something bigger. It's not what I envisioned when I was on the phone with my brother, just kind of talking about, oh, like, what can I do to keep my employment as a military spouse. Now it's really turned into this mission to really help people who don't have a voice, to really help people who are struggling, helping people who cannot afford mental health services, helping people who don't have access to mental health services, to help them access it and to help them afford it. So That was a lot. Let me know what other questions you guys have. I don't even remember what the original question was.
Yeah, I was gonna say you touch pretty much everything that we could have asked you, like
Right.
the challenges and stuff. You go through everything. So I don't know about you, JR, if you have something to ask in that particular
Aspect in the
aspect.
in the business, yeah. I love the fact that you said about a lot of time and the vision that we have. It's not it's not gonna be something we like. And I believe in the beginning you say, you know, with the being doing the therapist is what something a pull in your heart, seeing
Mm-hmm.
those kids that need a voice, seeing those people that need a voice that can't get those voice, because a lot of times God will pull us in a place where we're not gonna be comfortable. And you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned it, which is where you need to be. It's not where you
Mm-hmm.
want to be, but where you really need to be, because your assignment gonna call you not for you, but it will call you for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I strongly, man, I love it because you mentioned, you say everything. I feel like I'm being preached to right now. But like I was about to say, amen. And then I say, let me stop. You just going to do a podcast real quick. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love it because it show you the journey that you went through, and obeying the call. And a lot of people cannot and may not be able to understand that, because sometimes we may look at our own being selfish, and not really looking at other people that in need. And I see
Mm-hmm.
you see that, and you really want to serve through that business. And I love it. I don't know if you want to
Mm-hmm.
add anything. Yeah, it's not a question, it's just I love the fact that you gonna put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will add that it's not easy.
Mm,
You know, it's it's not easy. Um, there there's definitely been a lot of challenges, and there continue to be challenges. Um, but one thing that I keep reminding myself of, and that I think God keeps reminding me of, is um, this is not my mission.
mm.
This is not, you know, my work necessarily. It's his work, and I just so happen to be someone he picked. Um, and so having to continually do the work myself, in terms of keeping myself grounded, the reflection piece that I mentioned earlier, um, prayer and connecting to the spiritual side of me has been really helpful in terms of helping me navigate um, the the business aspect of therapy, um, and keeping my eyes on the vision and like on the goal, um, instead of letting like disappointments or roadblocks, speed bumps, and all of these things kind of bog me down. I have to keep my eyes ahead and keep reminding myself that, hey, um, if this is the work that you're supposed to be doing, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, he will provide.
Oh yeah.
He will provide,
Oh yeah.
and he will make a way. And I have to say that he's been doing that. He's been doing that, allowing me to serve people in this capacity. And again, I could have never imagined in a million years that I would be doing what I'm doing right now.
And that, my friend, is what this purpose look like. Purpose is when you're on the road and you don't know what you're doing and how you're doing it and where you're going. But all you're doing is moving by faith. That is
Yeah,
purpose. And that's when
yeah.
you know it, and you are fulfilled by it. And there's like, you could see the contentment, the happiness that you have doing it. Though you don't know what tomorrow may
Mm-hmm.
bring, but you know exactly you are where you're supposed to be. Man, Mickey,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm loving this.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
On your website, I think one of the stats you put, I think, is it over 20% of Americans experience some type of mental health issue. and I think is in a culture, bro, that probably close to 90%. I'm not, because I think we all have some trauma, Nikki. that we
Yeah, but for them it's zero. That's the
yeah
I'd
problem.
probably
yeah
say it's
yeah
like 100%.
100%. I think we all nah.
100%.
Yeah, I think in the end, I think we don't understand that. For you, like, how would you define mental health, mental health issues? Well, how would you define it, like, like in a simple term where everyone could understand? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me that that mental health one has so much stigma surrounding it, but two that we have such a hard time understanding what mental health is, because at the end of the day, mental health is health.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health is health. If you think about human beings, us, as people, we're comprised of the body, the mind, and the spirit or soul, right? So body, mind, and soul. And we can't have one without the other. If our minds aren't right, if we're not in good mental health or optimized mental health, we're not gonna have physical health. And our spiritual health or the soul is not gonna be healthy either.
Mm-hmm.
And if your spirit slash your soul, if that's not right, your body and your mind won't be right either. And same thing with the body. If you have a physical problem, a physical ailment, that affects your mind and it affects your soul. So for me, mental health and physical health and spiritual health, it's one and the same. We can't have one without the other. And so when I talk to people about mental health and like what that is, I really feel like um, it's such an important aspect of who we are, and that when we neglect our mental health, that can really impact our physical health and our spiritual health as well. So if I were to define mental health, I would simply say that mental health is health. It's health. It's overall health. Um, and as far as mental illness, um, if I were to define it, I would say that mental illness is when something is not right with your mental health. So just like, physical illness, if you have a physical condition, diabetes, hypertension, thyroid problems, like all these different types of physical issues, that's a physical illness. But mental illness, when we talk about that, we're focusing on the mind, something in your mind that's not right. And mental illness can look different for a lot of people, and it's kind of on a range, if you will. So there's a lot more serious mental illness, and I'm going to use that in quotes here. So when we're talking about those serious mental illnesses, we're talking about things like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorders. We're talking about PTSD. We're talking about clinical depression. We're talking about these illnesses where they can really be debilitating. They can affect someone's ability to utilize the executive functioning of their brain. So they're classified as serious, but if we think about it, any mental health challenge that you're having is serious, and it can be serious if if you're not taking the proper steps to take care of you and to take care of the problem. So it's similar to physical health, right? You might have a headache and you're like, it's just a headache, I'll take a Tylenol. Well, you keep taking Tylenol, the headache never goes away. And if you don't check it out, you might have,
It
something
might
else
be more
going
serious,
on.
right?
It might be
Mm.
more serious, but you don't know that if you don't, take the proper steps for you to get to that point. So, again, for me, mental health is health. Um, yeah.
And yeah, and very interesting because I love how you kind of put it together as far as for every your mental health impact and affect everything, for your physical health and everything else, because I think it's something that we also brought to this platform, Nikki, how whatever battle that you lose in your mind, you will lose it in the exterior too. If you lose something in your
Mm-hmm.
mind, you're gonna lose it, whatever battle that, because I think the battleground of life is happen in the mind, because that's where all the thoughts, processes, and
Yeah.
everything goes through, and that's the window that normally put us either up or down. So yeah,
Yeah.
don't even what you think about that, Nikki. I'm pretty much sure you have a follow up on that.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me too. We discussed that before, and I think that's very great the way you put it, Winnie. But little question I have while you were talking, I'm thinking, and we kind of critiques about our community that they don't pay attention too much about health and your mental health. But in this system that we're living here, I'm thinking, um, like even for our kid when they're in school, it's like they looking for little things to just label them as a disorder. I'm thinking, aren't we going a little too hard sometimes? I see you put them in quote, which is interesting too. Is it a I just don't get it. Like every little thing like the kids might like to do and they put it as a disorder and stuff. They try to label them. I don't know if that an issue as well.
Mhm. That's definitely a concern, and I want to say that anyone, right? Anyone can have mental health challenges. Well, everyone um, can and probably will have mental health challenges at some point in their lives. When we're talking about mental illness, we're talking about mental health challenges or mental health difficulties that are diagnosable. And so the question that you raised, Nikki, is very important because that is a fact and that is a concern that um, a lot of parents, a lot of Black parents have, that if I send my kid to therapy, or if my kid sees the school counselor or the school psychologist, they're gonna get labeled with whatever disorder, with whatever diagnosis. Um, and my stance and my approach to that, as far as how I practice therapy and my approach to mental health, is that um, if someone has a diagnosis, they have a diagnosis, right? So it's like when you go see a physician for your physical health, based on what you're going to your provider for. If your provider's like, well, you're reporting all of these symptoms that fit, whatever diagnosis, that that's the diagnosis. It should be the same thing with mental health and with the mental health field. However, because of the stigma with mental health, we run into issues where parents don't want to send their kids to counseling, or parents themselves, adults, don't want to go to therapy because of the fear of being labeled and the fear of being diagnosed with whatever. And so what I tell clients all the time is, hey, I'm not here to label you or to call you, you know, this crazy person or this bipolar person or whatever the case may be. If you're coming to me, I'm going to do an assessment. And based on the assessment, if you meet criteria for, you know, depression, you meet criteria for PTSD or whatever diagnosis, you know, that is what is going to be recorded in your file. And that's really for me to have an understanding of what's going on with you and for you to have an understanding of what's going on with you. And I find that a lot of people appreciate knowing that, hey, this is not just in my head. This thing that I'm going through has a name and there's a reason for that. Now, um, do schools, do other providers, do, you know, teachers, does society at large view it the way I view it? Not necessarily. And should that be a reason why, if your child is struggling and if you're struggling, for you not to seek professional help? No, I don't think it should be a reason like that. That fear of having a diagnosis or that fear of you know, having a quote unquote disorder, should that be a reason to not seek professional help? No, because the thing is, you're going to keep having that issue. You're going to keep struggling with that problem. And the thing that I've learned, you know, doing this work and my personal life as well, is that people are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to view you how they're going to view you. And there's not necessarily much that you can do to change someone else's mind about you, but you can change your mind about you, and you can take the steps necessary to get yourself healed, regardless of what other people say and what other people think. And I try to do my best in the work that I do to make people feel safe to talk about what they need to talk about, and to let them know that, hey, here's what the assessment process looks like. And when I work with clients, you know, like if they have any questions about their diagnosis, like how I came to that diagnosis, and everything stuff like that, I am very open with, hey, these are the things that I'm hearing from you. These are the symptoms, and they fit with this diagnosis. This is what we can do to help you with that. And we work together so we can put together like a treatment plan and goals and whatnot, so you know what we're going to be working on. And I also let, you know, clients know that therapy is for them, so therapy is for you. When you come to me for therapy, and when you go to any other therapist, therapy should be for you, not what, you know, me as a therapist thinks that, you know, you should be working on. It's a collaborative process where we work together um, to make sure that you're getting what you need. And unfortunately, the stigma about mental health is very real. The fear of being labeled is absolutely real. All of those fears, they're absolutely valid, and I get it, and I hear it way too often, way too often. And at the same time, I do believe that it is important if, you know, you're struggling with something, if your child is struggling with something, that they get the help that they need.
Yeah, that's very good. Sure, Winnie, say it for the people. Say it as loud as you can. Is it true that Haitians, particularly, I don't want to say the whole Black community in general, but is it true Haitian cannot suffer through depression?
Is it true that they cannot suffer through
Depression, yeah,
depression?
yeah.
Um, I think the only way that this would be true, if Haitians weren't humans and if they weren't people.
Okay.
That's the only way that that statement would be true. Yes, Haitians can have depression. Get un pile moun in our communities, un pile haïtien, um anxiety, depression, ap touye yo, like a lot of trauma. We know this. Like there is
Mm.
so much trauma in the Haitian community. You know, the poverty itself, like if you grew up in Haiti like I did, um, you know, even the fact that you were exposed to it, you seeing
Mm-hmm.
the poverty, living in sort of like this constant state of like being on edge. As kids, you know, like we don't necessarily register those things because our parents kind of carry all of that worry and all of that concern. But I'm sure that most, if not all of us, saw our parents stress out about whatever it was. And, you know, seeing the poverty, like even if you weren't living in it, that is traumatic. The domestic violence, the domestic violence,
We have a lot of that in the
um,
community. Yeah,
a
that's for sure.
lot of it,
Hidden trauma.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
The domestic violence. Bati moun toute la sainte journée. Tout ti bagay, like every little thing.
Sexual abuse.
Baton, sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect. I mean, you name it. And again, I'm not saying anything bad like about Haitian culture. I love our culture, but let's be real. There's a lot that needs to be changed. There's a lot that needs to be changed. And you know, I have seen people in my family, like close family members, go through mental health challenges, depression, anxiety. For a long time, I was dealing with anxiety. For a long time, I had so much anger built up inside of me. I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know what it was. And it's been stuff that, you know, I've had to work through, and things that I've had to come to terms with, things that you know, through my own therapy, through my own work, things that I've had to if you will, overcome, and things that I'm still learning how to deal with, like knowing what my triggers are, and understanding and being aware of what's happening with me and within me. It's human experience. So for
Hmm.
for any Haitian to say that Haitien pa ka gen depression, Haitien pa ka gen problem mental and all of those things, that is false. Like we've seen the extremes, right? Like we've seen the extremes of, you know, moun fuyok na la rio, right? Like
Right.
uh oh my gosh. Ma le rouge.
Anle Rouge, Pompilis.
Yeah, yeah. Ma le rouge. We've seen the extremes, right? The extreme examples of what mental illness looks like. And it's unfortunate that, that we don't recognize it. And at the same time, we also have a system, particularly within Haitian culture, and particularly within like Haiti, because of the conditions of the country. Like there's a lot of things that would need to change in order for people to be living like their optimal like mental health selves and whatnot. But that's a conversation for a different day. But to answer your question, Nikki, Haitians can be depressed, and I've seen it, and you all probably have some kind of experience with mental health challenges.
Oh yeah.
Even it, it may not necessarily have been something where you could have been diagnosed with something, but you've experienced it.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted you to say it out loud.
Clear.
You wanted me to say it out loud?
Yes.
I see how it is.
You're the right person to say
You
it.
wanted me to be the bad guy. I see.
Yeah. Gotta bring the
Actually,
news
you're
to
the
people.
good. Yeah, there's a reason why I asked that question like that, because first, we all know that's the way we sell ourselves, and that's the way they sell us as really strong people, resilient and stuff like that. And the same thing keep on happening in the society and in our culture. Like if you look what's going on right now in Haiti, there's flooding in the city of Leogan, I believe, and you can see even in that situation, Haitian can make joke, can make fun of that. I I don't know how you're gonna explain that, but how as human, when we're in situation like that, other people can see, they don't see light, and we are still making fun of our own situation. I don't get that.
Yeah, the simple answer to that very complex question is that it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. We use humor for virtually everything and anything. And humor is great. It can be great, right? But humor can also become this crutch or maladaptive coping mechanism, if you will, when it essentially acts as like a dissociating tool. Because I think that for a lot of us, and for a lot of people still living in Haiti who can joke about those situations, I mean, think about it. What if they didn't?
Yeah. That's a like real way to look at it. Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is a coping situation or
What
mechanism
if
for them. Yeah.
they didn't? Because if you look at the alternative, which is to actually process
Mm-hmm.
what's happening to you, that'll send you straight to despair.
And crazy, real crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
straight to despair, straight to a hole of hopelessness. And so I think that we've learned that, hey, if we laugh about it, we don't have to feel it.
Mm.
We don't have
That's
to,
that's deep.
yeah, like we don't have to feel it. We don't have to actually take the time to look at what the heck is going on and sit with the fact that this is our reality.
Yeah, my consent to that, Winnie. I understand perfectly what you're saying. I think that's really deep. But the consequences, I don't think laughing about it don't stop those consequences. Like
Of course not.
for example, there's Black Holiday that was going on in Haiti. I don't know if you know about that, where
Mm-mm.
people are killing other people that they They think they are gang members and stuff. And other people who's watching that, filming that, making fun of that. You
And
seeing,
posting it too.
yeah, posting it and sharing this become a slogan right now. Anything you're saying, oh, I'm a Bobo Akali, like something like that. And I'm thinking that's my concern. When you visualize something like that and you're making fun of it, that I don't think that stop whatever we have to the consequences.
No, absolutely not. Coping with something doesn't mean that it's going to stop, the consequences and the negative effects of that thing. And I also think that there's a level of desensitizing
Hmm.
going on, and also perhaps a level of dissociation as well. Because I've definitely seen it in people who have experienced, tragedies, like tragic stuff, very traumatic things. Like, our brains literally have a way of dissociating from the bad stuff, like the really bad stuff, and literally like almost making you forget or repressing that. Um, and that's kind of where like some of the desensitization, like the desensitizing happens, and whatnot, because again, if your brain, like while you're in this situation, if you were to actually capture the magnitude of what's going on, you would collapse.
Hmm.
And I think that for us on the outside looking in, and just thinking like, how could they be joking about this stuff? How can um they be making fun of this? How can they be recording this and posting this? Like, to us, we're like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But while they're in this situation, it's about survival. It's about literally survival. And when the survival instincts kick in, yeah, we do things that don't make sense.
That's very true. That's very true. I
Mhm.
think, we are in a time in our culture, in the Haitian culture, that I think trauma become part of our identity. That it becomes so much of who we are that it become normal. That's why I don't think that. I think that's the reason why we don't even think we are depressed or have anxiety or have a traumatic experience that we have past in life, because it's become so much like a identity thing for us, and it identify who we are, because we go
Yeah.
through this process every year, like Nikki mentioned, is every time. And I think that's why those people can find the fun in it, the joke in it, and that's why people cannot see the care for others in it, or like how people may be suffering it, become more of an identity thing. That's who I am right now, and I think that's
Yeah.
until we can kind of like reprocess of our identity or find our true identity. I think that's how the way is gonna continue. Mental health gonna be who we are, the issues of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
For me to follow up on this real quick, and because I think it's something that's kind of suppressing us as a people. I think a biggest oppression is self-oppression.
Hmm.
I don't, I think we can look into a certain system and say, so the system is oppressing us. No, I think the biggest oppression or the biggest master or the biggest massa of ours is our mind.
Hmm.
And I think until we kind of starting to figure those things out and trying to find help, and it's gonna hinder us from getting to where we want to go. So the question I have in this: do you really? I know, and like Nikki say it aloud. Do you think that mental health have a direct impact to someone's destiny?
I would definitely say so. Because if we go back to what I had said earlier about the connection between mind, body, and soul, um, in order for, you to be healthy, in order to, for you to be like clear of of mind, and in order for you to be able to live a life that is filled with purpose, you have to take care of your mental health. I mean, how can you even start to figure out what that is if you're having mental health concerns? And I will also say that having mental health, it's not necessarily like a goal that you reach and then that's it. You have to continue to feed your mind, right? You feed your mental health. You feed your soul. You feed your body. It's the same thing with physical health. You don't just get to a point of being healthy physically and then you stop. You have to continue doing the work with physical health, healthy eating, healthy habits, exercising, movement, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, things like that. And those things that we do for our physical health also helps our mental health, and they also help our spiritual lives and our spiritual health as well. So I definitely do think that our mental health impact our abilities to live fulfilling lives and purposeful lives.
I just wanted to know some ways that we can look to help people next to us, because I'm saying, because in our culture, like we were just talking about the fact that our Haitian, we don't really think when we have something, like if my kids sleep with fever tonight, my first reflex will be go to a doctor the next day to see what was wrong and stuff like that. But the mental health, we don't really pay too much attention about this. I just wanted to know for myself, if someone is by my side suffering with some issues, what are some ways that I can look to discover some little thing?
Mm-hmm. I think you said the first thing that is really important is to pay attention.
Okay.
Pay attention, right? Sometimes people tell you they're okay, but they're really not okay, right? And if you're paying attention, you can tell, for the most part, you can tell when someone who's not okay tells you they're okay. Paying attention can look like, um, someone posting something on social media and you're kind of like, hmm, that was kind of weird. I wonder what that's about. Instead of, calling JR or calling, your other family members and your friends and trying to find out what's going on with that person and why they posted whatever on social media. Reach out to the person and find out from them, hey, what's going on? Um, some people, will not necessarily come out and tell you what's wrong, but I've definitely learned and found that if you make yourself available to people and you're genuine about it, that is one of the best things that I think that we can do for other people, is to let them know that, hey, I'm here and I'm not just saying that, I mean it. That means, when someone is going through a rough time, you're not just gossiping about it and again, like I said, trying to figure out from other people what's going on with that person. Reach out to them. And if it's a situation where you're clearly noticing that this person's behavior has changed, they're talking about not wanting to live, and you're getting a sense that this person has become very discouraged, and they've become really hopeless, things like that. Hey, they may not be willing to go see a therapist, but maybe there's someone at their church, or someone in their youth group, or if you guys have, friend groups, maybe there's someone that they might talk to, or you know, have them call 911, or have them call the mental health line. I think it's 988. And there's a lot of like suicide prevention resources out there. There's NAMI, there's the suicide prevention hotline, SAMHSA. And then as far as like finding providers, there's Psychology Today, where you can go on the directory to see if you can find a therapist in your location. There's Mental Health Match, that's a similar directory. Googling stuff, I mean, there's a lot of options out there if you notice that this person might benefit from help that you can't provide them. But going back to what I said before, I think that the most important thing is to pay attention and be there, be genuine about it, and listen to what the people around you are saying and what they're doing.
Oh, that's very good. I realize sometimes even when you approach somebody, they may not tell you what's going on. It's not something they're gonna openly tell you what's going on. I understand how hard it is, but we appreciate your advice on that part. I think it's really, really important that you pay attention to your surrounding and see what may not go well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree as well to this to what Winnie said, because I think a lot of time even within your own family you may not, because again our culture normalize this, and we may pay attention, like Nikki said, to a fever, to a headache, to your child have a headache, but we're not paying attention to how the reaction of someone going through to the downs, to the lows, if they lose someone, or if something happened in school. We don't ask kids these questions, or parents don't, Haitian parents don't ask this question: what's going in school? Really, did you fail that test? Did you pass that test? How that make you feel? We don't ask certain questions to really figure out what mentally this a child may be going through, or even a person next to you, or a day of work, what the toll that may take on that person. And because we think that's what we're supposed to do, to be strong, to be resilient of everything, but we human being at the end of the day. So there's a limit to what you can withstand, and I think sometimes in a community we don't see that. Yeah, I mean, I think these for me, I know for sure, what Winnie say, gonna will help me pay more attention, but I would like also for the audiences and the listeners that gonna tune in, to be able to fix something, especially in a community, because it is time for us to really look at mental health as an issue that impact your soul, impact your whole life, and yeah, to make it real. I believe so.
Yeah. For me, I think, like as you mentioned, JR, we have to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have one last question for you, Winnie, for us who watching somebody who may go in a tough situation, we know we have to pay attention and stuff in that nature. But for anybody who feel like they're going to some situation that's not okay, what's your advice for them?
First, I want to say that whatever you're going through right now, you're not alone in it. You're not alone. I think that sometimes when we're going through stuff, it can feel like you're the only person going through it, and that no one else understands, or that no one else has ever been through what you've been through. And I want to say that, that's not true. you're not alone, first and foremost. Never forget that. And the second thing that I would say is that even though it might be hard to reach out to someone, to talk to someone, and I'm not even saying like reach out to a therapist like me to talk to them about what's going on, because for some people that's extremely hard to do. But like I said before, maybe there's a close friend or somebody, you know, like in your local community, in your church, and some of, you know, the support groups, friend groups, and whatever. There might be someone out there that you trust. Reach out to that person, and let them know that you're having a hard time. There's no shame in that. And I know that we've talked about, you know, us as Haitian people, us as Black people, being seen as, you know, very strong and resilient. And there's this sort of, I don't know, like stereotype that we can handle it. Like we can handle a lot of pain, and like we take pride in knowing that, you know, we're so strong. We're the first Black republic in the Western Hemisphere, and you know, like our forefathers did this and did they that, or our parents, you know, they went through all of these situations that didn't break them, and so we have to carry this mantle that we have to have it together at all times. And I I would say that 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 idea, that system um might be our undoing,
Mm.
because realistically no one can be strong at all times. No one. No one. So
Yeah.
it's okay if, you know, you're going through challenges. That's what makes you human. You're human. If you're going to some hard stuff, some challenging stuff, it's okay for you to you know, call someone and talk to them about that. And I would really encourage people to you know, seek help. If you need professional help, reach out to someone. I know that it can be hard, it can be nerve-wracking. You know, there's a lot of fears and a lot of worries. I get that. And at the same time, I strongly believe that you deserve that. You deserve help.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve help, and you should get it if you need it, and it's okay if you need it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. I know. Yeah, I know. But I know. Yeah, we have to wrap it up. But we're definitely gonna have to do another episode. Yeah, we
yeah, there's
definitely
a
have to.
lot
Oh, there's a
more we
lot. I
can
think.
have said
I
there.
think our community needs your voice. Because it's so rare. It's so rare. We have so many things online and that posting. We don't have people that calling people to go to reach for help for those things. You know, and you could see some people missing that. They have a void of a voice in their life, but it's more the things that they are consumed because they don't have any outlet really, or they don't know those outlets. Yeah, but you know, with that being said, we unfortunately we're gonna have to wrap it up. Before we do, we would like you to tell where people can find you, reach you. I know you mentioned that you are licensed in Alaska, Florida, and also Louisiana, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so if you can give your information, so if people want to reach out to you and everything else, because we're all here in Florida, so a whole
Mhm.
bunch of Haitian over there in Florida. So so if they want to,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me via the website. It's www.thriveunburdened.org. Also via email, info@thriveunburdened.org. Um, and then via phone, 561 601 6345 or 337 221 4596. We also have a presence on social media. So on Facebook, you can find us at Thrive Unburdened, and as well as Instagram, same handle at Thrive Unburdened. We don't offer therapy through social media platforms, so we wouldn't be like signing you up for sessions through like Facebook or Instagram. But if Facebook or Instagram is the easiest way for you to get in touch, send us a message, and then we can follow up via email or phone call, and then we can go from there. But thank you so much, you guys, for having me on. I definitely enjoyed having this conversation with you all.
It's an honor. It was a pleasure. I learned a lot. I don't know about you, Nikki, but I learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I
Yeah,
learned a
so
lot.
it was a pleasure. But we're definitely gonna schedule another one eventually. Keep our contact, stay in
Yeah,
contact.
just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. We really love the work that you're doing, and that's the reason we really wanted you to be on a platform, because it's very rare, and we know the issue exists for a few of us.
Yeah.
We know the issue exists in the community. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a pleasure. You again, have a blessed one. All right.
You too. Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Sak nan Panse'w.
Tan pri, abonne ak nou sou Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcast, etc. Merci.